This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
We begin tonight with politics and Indiana's voting system with 12 weeks to go until the general election. Today, that big historic announcement. Presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden picks his running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, to take on President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence in November. We have much more on that in just a bit. Tonight, we are zeroing in on ways voters can cast their ballot in the general election. We spent the last several weeks examining that issue.
The coronavirus pandemic is changing the way many Hoosiers will vote this year. RTV6's Cornelius Hawker shows where things stand right now for voters and what's in the works.
June 2nd, 2020 was an election day like no other in Indiana history. Coronavirus pushed the election back by a month and cut down on in-person voting places, leading to many frustrations.
I thought I could just come and it would be in and out. There was no social distancing at all.
Election officials across the state ran into similar issues, but voters in the state's most populated county, Marion, felt the change the most. Russell Hollis with the Marion County Clerk's office says they're going to make sure things are better in November.
We're doing everything that we can to help prevent those long lines.
But so far, Marion County has not announced how many in-person voting places will be open for the general election. With the threat of catching coronavirus, some people may altogether decide to skip voting in person, opting to vote by mail. But as of now, Governor Holcomb isn't making the process easier like he did during the primary election with an executive order.
I have a lot of confidence in not just our election commission, but county by county, 92 counties pulling off our elections.
So if you want to vote by mail, you'll have to go to the Indiana's voter portal. There, you'll see the vote by mail option, which gives you instructions on how to apply for an absentee ballot. That application must be received by your county election office no later than October 22nd. Election officials, however, are recommending you do it sooner rather than later. Finally, if you need help figuring out the process to register and vote, there are groups in the community like the ACLU of Indiana working to make that process easier. I asked them why, and this was their answer.
We wanted to make sure that we can educate people so that they know going into November all of their rights and are able to make their voices heard on Election Day.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
Information on voter registration and links to get your application to vote by mail can be found on our website and our election stories at theindychannel.com.
And now back to the winner of the Democratic Veep Stakes. Senator Kamala Harris is no stranger to the campaign trail. ABC's Alex Perche has more on her credentials, the reaction to the VP pick from President Trump and President Obama.
Biden-Harris, rivals now running mates. After weeks of speculation, Joe Biden informing Senator Kamala Harris over video chat of his historic decision, calling her a fearless fighter for the little guy and one of the country's finest public servants. Harris responding in a tweet, "I'm honored to join him as our party's nominee and do what it takes to make him our commander-in-chief." Senator Harris, a former district attorney in San Francisco and California's attorney general. If elected, she would be the first woman, black woman, and Asian American vice president. The daughter of immigrants, her dad from Jamaica, her mother from India. Ultimately, Joe Biden has said he was looking for someone he could trust.
I think choosing the vice president is whether or not the person is simpatico with me in terms of where I want to take the country.
During the 2020 campaign, Harris notably attacked Biden on the debate stage.
There was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools, and she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Harris dropped out before the first votes were cast. Last month, photographers captured handwritten notes of Biden's before a press conference. Under Kamala Harris, it read, "Do not hold grudges. Campaign with me and Jill. Talented. Great help to the campaign. And great respect for her." President Obama tonight writing, Joe Biden nailed this decision by choosing Senator Kamala Harris as America's next vice president. He's underscored his own judgment and character. President Trump already on the attack.
Plus, she was very, very nasty to one of the reasons that surprised me. She was probably nastier than even Pocahontas to Joe Biden.
What's interesting is the president twice donated to Harris as a private citizen when she was a candidate for California Attorney General in 2011 and 2013 for a total of $6,000. Now, Harris and Biden will appear tomorrow in Wilmington, Delaware. Alex Perche, ABC News, Washington.
Well, how will Harris as the Democratic vice presidential nominee impact voters in Indiana? WRTV took that question to Aaron Dusso, the department chair for political science at IUPUI.
I would be surprised if it impacted Indiana voters. Hoosiers, I would doubt would be moved necessarily by picking Harris. I mean, California, it's not a Midwest state, or obviously when you have a former governor on the other ticket, that can raise some, eyebrows, and you can recognize the person.
At an event in Arizona today, Vice President Mike Pence congratulated Harris and said he'll see her in Salt Lake City, where the two are set to share the stage on October 7th for the only scheduled vice presidential debate.
Will any college football players take the field this fall? That's the question tonight, now that two major conferences said no. This afternoon, the Big Ten announced it's postponing the entire fall sports season, as well as championships and tournaments. That includes the football title game that would have been played at Lucas Oil Stadium in December. The conference is considering the possibility of competing in the spring. IU and Purdue student athletes in several sports are impacted. The Boilermakers head football coach says he's disappointed.
When we were in all these discussions from a coaching standpoint and Big Ten, my personal opinion was to have multiple plans ready. And that was, okay, worst case scenario, let's get the spring plan ready. Okay, let's say we can't start on time. Let's be able to maybe back that thing up a little bit. In my opinion, when the SEC backed it up to September 26th, I thought we should have as well, because it would allow us more time, a few weeks, to gather more information and to maybe more testing kits and protocols that we can adjust from, see how it reacts when people get on campus. So I do think that hurt us, that we didn't do that.
Today, the Pac-12 took things a step further, voting to postpone all sports, including football and basketball, through the end of the year. Conference leaders say if conditions related to COVID-19 improve, they will consider a return to competition after January 1st.
Effective immediately, the Marion County Public Health Department will issue $1,000 fines for violations of the coronavirus public health order. Officials say this comes after several recent high-profile violations.
Some who broke these provisions have acknowledged the gravity of their mistakes, and they have paid fines. Others remain under the sway of irresponsible voices, spreading lies that this crisis is invented or imagined. Their selfishness is an insult to the families of the 3,000 Hoosiers who have lost their lives while infected with this virus.
No warnings this time, no $50 fines. We immediately go to a $1,000 fine. We need to get your attention.
Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and Dr. Virginia Kane, the director of the Marion County Health Department, made the announcement this morning. They say businesses that do not comply with the mask mandate or capacity restrictions can no longer claim lack of awareness. We spoke to some business owners who are not too happy about the increased enforcement.
I don't understand why we have to police our customers on what they wear. I mean, if the mayor wants to enforce it, he should be enforcing it. His people should be enforcing it. That's the way I look at it. I don't work for him. So why am I going to be fined for something that somebody else is doing? I mean, I can't control the public.
I'm not here to, check mark, oh, this person's wearing a mask and this, and they can do whatever they can do or eat here or to go. Yeah, we don't have the time or personnel to do that kind of thing. So it's impractical.
The Marion County Health Department enforces the orders. The department says it will not be sending inspectors out to monitor businesses or the public for compliance, but they will be checking into violations that are reported to them. And when it comes to the spread of COVID-19 in Marion County, this chart shows some 7-day averages from July 24th through August 6th. In that time, positive cases steadily increased from the 130 range to the 150 range.
More districts are facing bumps in the road as they work to welcome students and staff safely back to school. Tomorrow will be the second day of in-person learning at Zionsville Community Schools for many students, but not all of them. 8th graders at Zionsville Middle School will not return until next week because they may have been exposed to COVID-19 before the school year even started. District leaders are not releasing the details about the possible exposure.
We don't want a child to think that they've caused things for their team or for their cohort of 8th graders. No one child caused anything to happen. This is a global pandemic, and we should handle it as positively and as discreetly as we can.
Officials say their COVID task force helped make the decision. The group formed in March and includes 8 district employees who work in central operations, 8 principals in the district, and community volunteers, including an immunologist and an epidemiologist. Some Zionsville parents say they take comfort knowing that the team is helping guide this difficult process.
Yeah, I think they're doing their best with the information they have. They've got extensive plans. Lots of brains were definitely put together to come up with some good plans.
The superintendent tells us the experts on the task force do not have kids in the district and they do not know each other. He wanted them to be external and objective. The group meets regularly and is in constant communication. For more stories and information about how local districts are handling the new school year, go to WRTV.com/safely back to school.
Tonight we're getting answers to some questions surrounding an Indianapolis murder case. We told you last night at 11, Tyler Newby bonded out of jail. Newby is accused of shooting and killing Dorian Morell on May 31st in downtown Indianapolis after protests turned chaotic. Tonight the Marion County Prosecutor's Office tells WRTV bond was set in this case, quote, due to exceptional circumstances. The office says the reason was not related to COVID-19, and a representative says while bond is uncommon in a murder case, it's not unprecedented.
Coming up, the state's moratorium on disconnecting utilities expires this week, but there is still hope for Hoosier renters and homeowners who are struggling to pay their bills. Kevin.
And Mark, below average temperatures take over next week. We'll talk about what comes with the cooler air coming up.
And the greatest spectacle of racing will be a much different experience this year, but some traditions continue and they start tomorrow.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
The world has surpassed 20 million confirmed cases of COVID-19. More than a quarter of them are in the United States. ABC's Romina Puga reports just as schools start to reopen, more children are catching the virus.
As kids begin to go back to school, the American Academy of Pediatrics reports a rise in COVID cases in children. Nearly 180,000 in just the last 4 weeks, an increase of 90%. These cases in young people already affecting classes. In Cherokee County, Georgia, over 900 students and staff are quarantined after 60 people tested positive. In Philadelphia, 6-year-old Jaden Coulter was severely sickened by that rare multi-inflammatory syndrome. He is now recovering, but will be going back to school online.
I was worried about the whole school, wanting my child to go to school, but now I'm second guessing, like, yeah, maybe virtual is not that bad.
In Texas, middle school teacher Rebecca Asher quit during this school board meeting.
I just didn't feel the district had adequate plans to keep both students and teachers safe.
And as the race for a vaccine continues here in the U.S., Russia has declared they are the first in the world to approve one. President Putin even saying one of his daughters has already been given the vaccine. But U.S. health experts are skeptical. Dr. Anthony Fauci shared his reaction with National Geographic.
I hope that the Russians have actually definitively proven that the vaccine is safe and effective. I seriously doubt that they've done that.
The Russian vaccine still hasn't completed that crucial phase 3 trial that shows if a vaccine will work safely in a large population. They only lined up 2,000 people for that final step so far. Compare that to the tens of thousands being tested by Moderna, Pfizer, and Oxford. President Trump announced Tuesday the U.S. is buying 100 million doses of the Moderna vaccine in an effort to ramp up its stockpile if the vaccine proves to be effective and safe. In Colorado, Romina Puga, ABC News.
Indiana's moratoriums on evictions, foreclosures, and utility disconnections ends this Friday. RTV6 continues working for you if you're struggling to make ends meet. The governor's executive order expires this week. The Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission also has its own moratorium that is set to end on Friday. The commission is expected to decide tomorrow whether to extend it. It prohibits disconnection of any utility service, including gas, water, sewer, and electric. Groups like the Citizens Action Coalition have filed a motion asking the commission to extend the moratorium indefinitely.
Looking at where COVID numbers are at, looking at the rising number of cases across the state in schools, and looking at continued high unemployment, as well as the expiration of the additional unemployment benefits that expired. The evidence shows that we're still in a health crisis, we're still in an economic crisis, and there's no moral justification for letting that shut-off moratorium expire. In fact, the evidence shows just the opposite.
Some utility companies, including Duke Energy and Citizens Energy, have said they will not voluntarily disconnect customers until after September 1st. They are encouraging customers to reach out to them to make payment arrangements.
And now to the forecast. Temperatures are lingering around 70 degrees at this hour. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory joins us now with a look at what's next. Hey, Kevin.
Hello, Amanda. Remember last night at this time, the thunderstorms were leaving the state. Of course, today we didn't have the active weather. Temperatures upper 60s to low 70s. Not a bad evening in progress. Let's talk about overnight. We'll stay dry and mild. Some patchy fog, mainly south of Interstate 70 expected as we go into the morning hours. Temperatures right now 67 in Marion, up in Grant County. Hopefully everybody had a beautiful sunset this evening. I know in most cases it was. 74 in Indy and Greenwood. Temperatures tonight will fall into the mid 60s. This is why you should step outside and look up before going to bed. The peak of the Perseid meteor shower is overnight tonight. Before I get you too excited, I think we'll battle some cirrus clouds, and moonlight will also diminish the ability to see what could have been more spectacular. So maybe you see 10 or 12 in an hour in optimal conditions. Just use your peripheral vision and scan the sky the best you can. Stay away from city lights. 16th and Georgetown comes alive during the day tomorrow. Practice starts. It will be a good day at the track. Of course, not open to the public, but you'll hear the roar of the engines. Temperatures in the mid 80s with the noticeable humidity. That doesn't really change. Tomorrow and Thursday, very low rain chances. The chance for showers and thunderstorms increases Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as the frontal system that sparked yesterday's storms lifts back to the north. Look at the steady decline in the humidity levels. Now, I've pushed this forward. This starts Friday afternoon. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, humid, but then dropping big time as we get later in the day Monday, and noticeable changes for Tuesday and Wednesday. That comes with cooler than average temperatures. It looks like beyond the 7-day forecast, indications are we'll have a stretch of temperatures in the 70s and the low humidity as well. That's what we expect early next week, with highs returning into the 70s and some lows in the 50s. Here's forecast then. Plan on a dry day tomorrow and Thursday, just very low rain chances. Friday through Sunday, the chance for showers and thunderstorms on each day. Then next week, will dry out, stay dry it looks like, and have temperatures in the 70s on a number of occasions with lows in the 50s. Something to look forward to there.
Definitely so. Thanks, Kevin. As some students return to school, there are many questions about the risk of COVID-19 in classrooms, cafeterias, and more. Our partners at Newsy are getting answers from experts.
As the school year starts, you might be wondering about the risks of getting sick with COVID-19. We asked the experts, how risky is eating lunch in class? Their take, the risk of contracting COVID-19 from eating lunch in class is medium risk.
If the classroom is really crowded and the kids are kind of really close together, the risk goes up. So the best thing would be for trying to make sure that the classrooms are as spread out as possible.
I think that it matters how the food is delivered to students. You also have to think about the sharing of utensils. So typically utensils are kept in a common area, which means that lots of people all have to grab into an area for forks and knives and spoons. And so there could be some elevated risk just by having just multiple hands touching on one area.
I agree that you don't want to share items, and it can be messy for the classroom. It's still something that a lot of school systems are probably looking at right now.
For more answers on what is low, medium, or high risk, visit newsy.com/what's the risk.
This is RTV6 News at 11, working for you.
Stay Start to rev up tomorrow at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The 2020 Pace car will be unveiled at 10 o'clock in the morning in the Pagoda Plaza. This is video of last year's unveiling. Very exciting stuff there. Practice at IMS also starts tomorrow. Crews have spent the past couple of days getting loaded into Gasoline Alley. One team hopes the force is with them. Our Brad Brown explains in tonight's Sports Extra Spotlight.
Ed Carpenter Racing is all set to take flight for this year's Indy 500. Ed unveiled a Space Force wrap on his number 20 car for this year's race, ready to launch his team's run for a 4th pole position in the 500.
One of the biggest tie-ins between what they're doing with Space Force and our racing program, and why they went the route of standing up a new branch, was just to really make a more lean, agile, fast solution to make sure we withhold our advantage in space and carry that forward into the future. And I think that's a great tie-in to IndyCar and what we're all about as well.
Connor Daly's also feeling the need for speed with this year's Indy look. The U.S. Air Force back with Daly for another go, this time on a bright orange number 47 car. It's Daly's 7th 500 entry, his first with ECR.
I have enjoyed working with a variety of people because everyone's got a bit of a different way they like to do things, a bit of a different way that, they like to tune the setup. And I think I've learned from that as well.
The big news in the past couple weeks was the addition of lead engineer Cole Pern to Daly's crew. Pern was crew chief for Martin Truex Jr.'s 2017 NASCAR Cup title, made all the more impressive as a single-car team.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of things are super similar. It's just, obviously the values that you're looking at are way different. Way more downforce, a lot lighter car, all those things. But you're still looking for the same things in terms of handling, and all those type of metrics you kind of study are the same.
Rookie Renus VK rounds out the ECR trio. 3 Chevys set to once again be a force up front on qualifying weekend. ECR has put at least one car on the front row of the 500 in 6 of the past 7 years. That includes Ed's 3 poles. We'll see if they've got the right stuff to do it again this weekend. Brad Brown, RTV6 Sports.
Practice gets underway at 11 a.m. tomorrow. The same schedule set for Thursday and Friday. Qualifying for the field of 33 on Saturday starts at 11 a.m. as well. Then on Sunday, the top 9 battle it out for the pole position. WRTV's live trackside coverage starts tomorrow on the news at noon.
This is not a trick. Halloween treats are already on store shelves. Candy companies and some retailers are selling Halloween candy early this year to try and make up for slowing sales because of the pandemic. Companies expect some trick-or-treating this year, but also more socially distant activities. Kevin, it'll be interesting to see how kids get creative this year.
Oh, I'm sure they will. And I'm going to find some candy before I go to bed. Temperatures upper 60s in the morning. Some patchy fog around the wind will be light. Should be a dry day tomorrow. Mark?
All right, enjoy it. And thanks for joining us for RTV6 News at 11. GMI heads your way tomorrow at 4:30. We hope you have a great night.